This episode of Ticket Volume is brought to you by us, InvGate. Get service operations under control in no time. Get 1 free month of our software solution by going to try.invigate.com. And on each episode, I get to chat with different leaders to share insights on service management, technology, and business, and this episode is going to have none of that. And hey, do you want to continue the conversation after this episode? Comment. Please comment. Use our platforms to dig deeper into these topics and engage with our experts, or give me guest ideas or topic ideas. I would love to spend our budget in the ways that you want me to spend our budget. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day and a great week, and I also hope that you'll share our podcast with someone, get involved, get us improving. Now let's begin. Welcome to Ticket Volume. Me, Matt Beran. I am coming to you today from a place of extreme gratitude and thankfulness for our Ticket Volume listeners. Your words of affirmation have kept this podcast going, and I can't thank you enough. It truly is a podcast powered on thanks and likes. I'm so honored and lucky to get to explore and share the experts of our industry with as many people as possible. I never take that for granted. And my podcast team wanted me to share what I've learned from over 100 episodes. Yes, we did more than 100 episodes. Even though this one is numbered 100, we've done some live ones that weren't numbered sequentially. So this is probably actually episode 107 or something like that. But I thought about it for a few days, and I realized that this podcast has changed my life. It's changed my perspective on IT. And the Ticket Volume Project gives me a way to express my constant curiosity. It gives me an excuse to reach out to my network and to explore what they know and continue to explore what they know. And I can't believe it, but Ticket Volume has actually given me hope. Hope that we are on the path towards saving the world with technology. That's my dream. That's my vision for the future, that we save the world with technology. Now, every episode contains some innovation, reminders, and wisdom, the very learning that I get to bring to audiences across the globe. However, in general, this is what I've learned. Nothing is as simple as it seems. And if you work in complex systems or interconnected systems, you know that this is true. Number 2, what you think will help often doesn't. Jumping to conclusions, jumping to solutions, trying to solve things is the old way of doing things. The new way is to sit in the problem, to understand it better, to be uncomfortable with that problem, and to dig deeper, to understand, is there something we can do deeper to make this not ever happen again? The third thing that I've learned is that what you think won't help sometimes does. And I hate this one, but I also love it because it means that we need to experiment. You know, if we say something isn't going to work or won't help or won't change things, question that. Run an experiment. See if it does. See if it doesn't. That's my advice. The fourth thing is to stick what you're good at and network with others to fill the gaps. And I love this one. The fourth one is probably my favorite because I've realized that I'm never going to be an expert in high velocity IT, for example. I'm leaving that to the philosopher Mark Smalley. I'm never going to have the management leadership prowess that Rob England has, because he's traveling the world and consulting with clients and has spent his entire career thinking about this stuff. And so I love this one because if you build a great network of people in our industry, you'll be able to reach out to them and get what you need. They'll help you fill your gaps. They'll give you more opportunity. They'll help you understand complex things. And what you're giving them is a gift. You're giving them the ability to express their wisdom and express their genius and help you. So give them that gift. And finally, the fifth thing that I've learned is that people are the most valuable and important part of technology. This is not a surprise to you, I'm sure. But without people, we wouldn't have technology. We are the creators of technology, for good or for bad. And we are also the only way that technology value can be realized, right? Anytime technology is trying to create value, it can only be realized through people. Kind of an interesting concept. Maybe one we'll explore in an episode later. But these are the things that I've learned through repetition, through listening and hearing from a massively diverse set of ideas. And there are some moments that really surprised us and episodes that really stand out. The biggest surprise was that our little IT nerd reacts to AI in films was way more popular than we thought it would be. Thousands and thousands of views on that. So thank you for watching that. I hope it was as entertaining as you expected. But we have some episodes that really stand out too. One of them that opened my eyes was episode 90. It opened my eyes to the power of change enablement to attract people who would use change management in a positive way. It would give everyone a clearer scope of change and really help us better collaborate around change together. Now, these three guests brought the thunder, and I hope we can continue the discussion with the team over at Jamf as they learn and grow their service management function. I would love to catch up with you, Melissa Dunham, Kyle Carlson, and Minta Walders. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and experience. To Kyle and Minta, thanks for showing up and proving that Melissa wasn't just smoke and mirrors saying that they were building a service management function. No, it's great to hear those stories of teams changing and innovating. So thank you for bringing that to Ticket Volume. And speaking of changing perspectives, the live session on experience management is another episode that's one of my favorites because it questions where to find true value and how we impact people's everyday lives, how IT can change someone's mood. It can change their living situation. IT and what we do in IT can change someone's family. That's unreal to think about, but true. John Layton from NextThink and Emily Schlick from Vizient do a great job of keeping experience accessible, yet insightful and innovative. To me, this is where the IT industry is heading. We've seen a lot of transformations through our time in the industry, and I'm saying our, but I mean I've seen a lot of transformations through my time in the industry. And what I think is that we're right now, people are investing in experience and in experience management, customer experience and employee experience. We see AI on the horizon. It's coming, but experience is where people are investing right now. That's where the wise people are investing right now. And John and Emily really know their stuff and they share it freely. So this episode is pure gold. Thank you both for your contributions to our community. Now, if you know me, you probably know I'm always trying to focus on mental health awareness. And the episode that we did with Dr. Torres, Eileen Day, and Emily Hubbard really scratched an itch for me. Yeah, the episode is 50 minutes long, whatever. It's almost double what we usually do. But when you have direct access to some of the smartest people on the topic, it's really hard to stop being curious. And while we touched on neurodiversity, I think it's time for a second episode on that topic. We need to start understanding people better. Like I said, it's my fifth thing that I've learned. People are the only thing that matters in technology. Maybe not the only thing, but they're the most important thing in technology. So why not explore neurodiversity more? Why not explore mental health more? That's coming up on Ticket Volume. Sneak peek. One of the early gems of the podcast was Greg Sanker. It was actually one of our first audio podcasts. So if you go back this far, you won't see video. We started off with audio because we had no idea what we were going to do. But Greg was such a trooper and stuck with it and volunteered to take a risk with us. Now, Greg's depth and experience have been instrumental in changing minds across the industry, mine included. Some highlights: you don't need to always be the smartest person in the room, that you have to work across silos. It's the only way to get business done. And getting HR and IT to work together might have a ton of value. And that was actually the primary point of the episode. Greg continues to challenge us to think differently. He wants us to rethink and reapply design thinking. He also shares his vision for how systems thinking and the IT to HR connection could be leveraged to explore service levels, org change, governance. And you think about how that relationship could really propel a company to innovate and change. The conversation takes a lot of turns because we're both high energy people. But the last point that I love is about accountability and how we think and act differently when we know we're going to be held accountable. And that is such a fascinating topic and one that really rings true as we continue to automate into the AI world. How do we hold AI accountable? How do we hold AI companies accountable? Fascinating concept in service and support. Now, it truly humbled me to finally get one of my best mentors on the podcast. The most connected man on earth, Chris Dancy, fundamentally changed my life, my career, and my perspective on technology. Chris is an incredible human, a so-called technopagan, who is always leading the technology industry and pushing us all to innovate, even from the periphery. Even though he's left ITSM, he's still out in New York, building incredible experiences around Persephone Manor, helping his sheriff's department leverage AI to to provide services to the community. Inspirational. Hands down, inspirational. No questions asked. There's too many nuggets to share on this episode, but I highly recommend listening to Chris's episode for tips on how to apply data intelligence to your daily life. And I think that's really important too, because as we see people leveraging AI more often for their daily life, they start to see, do I have the right data? And this episode highlights the importance of that data. My favorite part, though, is when he talks about the SLA of taking out the garbage. And if you're in a relationship, you either want to approach that topic and talk to your nerdy spouse about it, or you don't want to talk about it. One of the two. Thank you, Chris, for being on the podcast. Now, I don't want to make this an IT research group episode, but Valence Howden's wisdom and experience changed my thinking about governance. He does a great job telling the stories about how organizations change during failure, during change, and during normal everyday operations. Now, I do hate that he points out that not all people are all working toward the good of all the time. But it's a reality we must face and design within. It's a reality I must face, that's for sure. If you're trying to navigate power struggles and culture at your job, this episode should be at the top of your listening queue. It is one of my great desires to have Valence on again soon, so hopefully we can find a topic that works for that to happen in the next season. And speaking of that, I have plenty of the earlier guests that I would love to reach out to and see what's changed. So Megan Engels, Rand Bruno, and Tammy and Nico, you know I'm going to be knocking on your inbox soon. And if any guest is on here listening to this podcast, please reach out to me. I always want to talk. I always want to catch up and maybe record an episode. And I have to give huge props to all the guests and audience members who have given their time to record and listen to Ticket Volume. Without you all, this podcast and this industry would not exist. Now, there are some topics that we need to dig deeper into still. Topics like SIAM, soft skills, which I'm calling power skills now, USM, organizational change management. And I want to go deeper on some of the processes too. I want to get nerdy. I want to get into the practices, the subgenres of information technology. I want to get into the procedural level elements of incident, major incident, change, asset, release, problem, all of it. We've got a ton of episodes, so whether you're trying to brush up your resume or improve your strategic leadership, take a listen. Please check out some of those episodes. And I also want to take a quick moment to thank InvGate for believing in my vision for this podcast. Without your support, none of this would be possible. a huge thanks to my InvGate marketing team as well. Without you, I would look terrible. I would sound terrible. This podcast would not look as awesome as it does. And you put so much time, effort, and love into everything you do. I greatly appreciate it. You are some of my favorite colleagues of all time. And to my listeners, we did it. We are building the next generation of service management geeks. And because you've shared our podcast with someone, you may have made their career, or hopefully at least made them smile. And who knows, maybe you take what you learn on ticket volume and you apply it in your work. Maybe you use ticket volume to make the drive to work easier, or to just get nerdy about service management when you can't. And to you, I would love to say, reach out, comment, tell us that it's working, because sometimes we forget. Sometimes we think, oh, should we do the podcast anymore? And your words of affirmation mean the world to us. Your likes, your reshares, everything. They mean so much. They make this podcast possible. So with that, I hope that you're able to take what you've learned on ticket volume and apply it to your daily life, to your work, to your career, to your services, because good service is good business.